Today I'm going to speak about a situation that's common in relationships, and I'm going to title this Presentation Means More Than Your Pockets. And I think some of you already have an idea what I'm talking about. Let's say you met a person for the first time and you exchange phone numbers, and then you start having a little conversation. You set a date to meet. So what you're doing is you're taking time to get to know that person. Let's say you do wind up going on this date. You go to a restaurant or a picnic or something like that, and you sit down and have conversation. So far, so good. And all of a sudden they say that one thing that kind of sends your world crashing down. It could be anything. It could be something like, it could be something that's extremely sexual, that was inappropriate, that didn't fit in with the conversation. It could be where they go in a little bit too deep and hot and heavy about how rotten their previous relationship was with their ex. It could be something where if you're in a restaurant and they're extremely rude and inconsiderate to the serving people. It could be a number of things. It could be just something that's out of the blue that they may say, or behavior that they exhibit that up until that point you were on cloud nine. But they said that one thing that kind of brings you crashing down to the earth. So in this particular situation, you're disillusioned. You're like, okay, you know what? I don't think I want to deal with this person anymore. Or if you do, it just be on a friendly level. And what you try to do is, you go ahead and you make your exits, you part company, and you just don't make it a point to talk to them anymore. How you make your exit is how you make your exit. But basically, there's a finality to it, Then all of a sudden, this person's calling you and calling you and calling you and calling you. I'm going to tell you what the problem is. This person's had deep pockets. They're used to dealing with people who give them what they want because they have deep pockets. Then they come across a spiritual, intelligent person like you thinking that they can use the same tactics that they use on those other money grabbers on you. They'll put on the air of spirituality and intelligence when in the back of your mind they really don't believe half the stuff that they're saying is part of their come on. And when they realize they can't get what they want out of you, they either, number one, try to ghost you to make you feel a certain type of way, or they'll turn around and have a temper tantrum once you decide you don't want to deal with them anymore. Either way, it's immature behavior. But I just wanted to give you an idea of what was out there. This is not going to be a long one today, but I just wanted to let you know that, when you do go out on a date, and I wholeheartedly encourage people when they first meet, go out on a date, go on dates. Don't turn around and meet somebody today and have them up in your house tomorrow. You don't know these people. Just because you had a good conversation on the phone, via text or Facebook that one time on the same day that you met them, don't turn around and invite them in your digs. That's your home. That's your place of safety. Go out on dates. Go to public places. Get to know each other. Ask those questions that I mentioned in previous videos. It may seem like a lot. And if you come across somebody who says they don't like people asking them questions, you know what? Those are the type of people that have a lot to hide. Because it's only common sense that when you first meet someone and you start dating, that you ask questions. So anyone who's grown-ass man or grown-ass woman that calls themselves dating, either one, they're not used to dating, they're used to smashing and grabbing all their life. Or number two, they have a hell of a lot of stuff to hide. I don't deal with people that turn around and say stuff like that. Not on a romantic level. Because in the past I dealt with a couple of people that said, I don't like when people ask me a lot of questions. Why? Is it because you don't have any answers? Or is it because the answers that you may provide will give me an indication of how fucked up you are? So you got to look at these behaviors. You got to look at these things. The purpose of dating is getting to know people. You're not going down the aisle. You're not making these huge plans. It's the first date to get to know each other. And it's to the point after you had that first conversation, sometimes you don't even get to the first date. Because after that first conversation, the first thing they want to do is come up in your house. That's a clear indication they're not interested in you. They just want to have sex with you. So Just watch out for the signs when you're communicating with people. It's real easy sometimes to figure out what somebody's about if you pay close attention to them on a date. The purpose of a date is to, watch the body language, listen to the visual cues. A lot of men don't go into details about exes as passionately as women do. What men have a tendency to do on their first date, the ones that have ill intentions, they'll start, going straight in about the sex thing. The sex thing is the sex thing. Spend more time talking about sex than they do talking about their life and their goals and their intentions for their future and their lifestyle. Those are things you're trying to find out on the first date. But if they go all in when on the very first time that you finally get together about the sex, that's all they wanted in the first place. They probably didn't even want a date. And if you hadn't suggested, because 9 times out of 10, you had to be the one that suggested. If you hadn't suggested a date, y'all wouldn't have had one. Y'all would have been had sex already up to him. If you leave it up to him. And a lot of females, when you turn around and go on a date, and the first thing they want to talk about hot and heavy is about how their ex did them so wrong, and then they get all emotional and everything else. Fellas, you need to stay away from that, because all you are is a scapegoat, a distraction, a lean on so she could take her mind off of the fact that she hadn't gotten over her ex. She needs some time to kind of chill out. Now, it's okay to kind of touch on, a little thing about your exes, or just one or two little things, okay. If the conversation goes that way, just mention one or two things and just jump on something else. But if this chick is going all in on the details and everything on the very first date, that's a huge red flag. A huge red flag. And see, a lot of these people do have deep pockets, so they figure they can act any way they want on the first date because all they care about is getting what they want on the end. But an intelligent and spiritual person like you and me, we're going to read into that stuff right away, and we're not going to fall for it. So what they'll do is they'll sit there and they'll sulk and try to sit there and scratch their head and figure out, wait a minute, I've got everything. How come she didn't want it? They'll turn around and think that you're the one crazy, make you think that something's wrong with you. Ain't nothing wrong with me. It's just that I read through your bullshit. I don't care about your pockets. I got a bag. And that's the thing. So just be a little careful about that. I'm going to go ahead and end with this. But I just encourage going on dates when you first get to know a person before you start getting in with all the hot and heavy stuff. That's all I'm saying. Because once you cross that line, that's it. There's nothing wrong with asking questions. There's nothing wrong with platonically spending time with that person, because that way you have a chance to get to know what they're about. Just saying.